want you to imagine a world where your skills could go totally unnoticed or make you a global sensation, basically overnight. Welcome to the world of decentralization. I want you to fixate on that word because it's going to have a huge impact on your future, your business, the way that you view the world, and the way that you view opportunity. It's not going away. It's a trend. It's going to ultimately help you to understand this. To start with, I want you to think back about 100 years ago, when most of the technology we're all familiar with doesn't exist. And think about the markets. Think about opportunity. Picture a guy named Bob who lives 100 years ago and what his upside looks like. Now, Bob has these dreams inside of him, these skills and abilities and talents that God put in there. But when you look at the market or the doorways of opportunity, it was much more limited for him, right? Or if you want to go really crazy, think back 300 or 500 years ago. It's interesting to me to see TikTok stars now or people on the internet that are amazing artists. And I ask myself, what would they have even done in the year 1712, right? Maybe they worked for a blacksmith. Maybe they had some job that was like the Soul Sucker 9000. Now, they didn't know that the world would be like it is now, so they just did life. But I think it's really interesting because there's so much opportunity and it's compounding all the time that in a lot of ways, it's actually crippling people and making it invisible now, because people can't see all the opportunity around them. We're kind of swimming in it. It's almost opportunity fatigue. But specifically with decentralization, if you think about access to capital or access to execute on whatever entrepreneurial idea you had, everything was infinitely harder the further back in time that you go. Because reaching the masses wasn't easy at all. Access to capital didn't really exist. And your future success relied mostly on your ability to be born into the right family or know the right people. And even if you were ambitious and you wanted to network your way into the right relationship, you could do that, but think about how much harder it would be 100 years ago than it is now with social media and LinkedIn and being able to fly in an airplane to go to an event to maybe get a chance meeting with someone that could help you with your business or your idea. You know, these things were so much harder back then, and they're progressively getting easier now. And there's good parts to this, there's bad parts to this, and even if you have a local business, this actually really does affect you. It provides an insane opportunity for you, but there are dangers as well. So pay attention to the rest of this video as we unpack some things that maybe you've never considered before, but hopefully will reframe the way that you look at decentralization. So again, take a look at this artist 300 years ago, and now look at modern platforms such as Etsy, which gives this distribution vehicle to this artist that makes this weird painting or this weird sculpture. And people can actually not only see it, but buy it. And you don't have to have 100,000 customers to be successful. You don't have to go borrow $100 million for your business. You can simply create and publish. Or if you look at YouTube, YouTube is really the decentralization of fame itself. All the social media platforms are the decentralization of fame. And as we progress, there's less and less super famous people. And what's happening is there's millions of still but less famous people. And this is really interesting. If you look at, like I said, Etsy and YouTube for maybe creators or the way that the creative space works, that's cool. But you as a business owner, what are the effects of decentralization on you? Well, think of platforms like Kickstarter or GoFundMe. These are incredible game-changing things. There's tons of examples of decentralized finance, ways to fundraise, ways to get access to capital from regular people like you. It kind of reminds me of how Wall Street Bets basically took down some major New York hedge funds because regular people who are communicating through a decentralized platform all rallied together to buy the stock GameStop. And if you thought that was even a little bit interesting, keep paying attention because we haven't even gotten to the good stuff yet. Look at platforms like Amazon. Amazon acts as a marketplace where you have sellers on this side and buyers on this side. Amazon doesn't just sell stuff. It lets anybody start selling stuff, right? And it's really decentralized retail. There's so many examples of this. Things like Uber, if you think about it, is decentralized taxis. Now, I'm not an expert on the taxi business, but from what I understand, it's been for decades and decades a very corrupt industry before Uber. A lot of people don't like Uber, but hear me out on this point. You see, the taxi business used to be controlled by what are called medallions, and the mafia was involved in the taxi business, and these fat cats would control these medallions and kind of own the certain blocks where their taxi drivers would work. All that was shattered. The founders of Uber got death threats because they're basically breaking apart a centralized, controlled thing into scattering it to 10,000 pieces. It's insanely interesting to me. I briefly mentioned how YouTube is decentralized fame, but really YouTube is decentralized broadcasting. In marketing, we call it narrowcasting when we talk about YouTube channels, because you can run ads to very specific niche groups of people. Back in 1950, there was really 3 networks that controlled everything. You had ABC, CBS, or NBC, and that was kind of it. YouTube has broken that into millions of little pieces. And it's really in the favor of you. Now, all of these examples like Turo and Airbnb and really even online courses is like decentralized university. You can see these trends literally everywhere in their compounding. It has all kinds of psychological effects on the market too. I always find it interesting when a foreigner comes to the United States and has a lot of success, because the frame of reference they have coming into the country is insanely helpful for them to have that success. If you grow up in a world swimming with opportunity, sometimes you can't see it. Well, someone who's living in like some tyrannical third world nation who waits their whole life to get the chance to have a green card or a visa to come visit the United States, they show up understanding there is no place that has more opportunity than this. And sometimes when I work with small business owners, I can tell that they're just kind of groundhogs daying it through life, kind of doing things the way they've always been doing it. There's a little bit of chatter about AI and robotics, a little bit of chatter, but people aren't really understanding the full impact and scope of this idea of decentralization. It's really good for you if you can see it. And I'm not saying robots are coming to steal your jobs. What I'm simply saying is that you, yes, you, could monetize your brain or your expertise in ways that you've maybe never even thought before. The rise of community building is one of the big trends that's going to help the small business owners that are paying attention. You know, not everything can be automated. Humans can't be totally automated. A robot might replace a job over here, but the knowledge and the expertise that someone like you has is now available to be monetized through various platforms and means, and it's something to consider. If we all just keep doing business as we've always done it, we're going to miss it. We're going to miss the upside, miss the leverage that is decentralization. Cryptocurrency is decentralized currency. Ring cameras are decentralized security. TikTok, for a lot of people, is like a decentralized record label. You don't need a record label. It wouldn't even make sense most of the time these days, because you can get famous. And if you think about $1 million business, all it really is, one way to look at it, is 1,000 thousands. If you have 1,000 fans or true believers that would pay you $1,000 for whatever it is that you're selling, you have $1 million business. And it's never been easier to get 1,000 people to give you $1,000 than it is right now. Or you could get 100 people to give you $10,000, or you could get 10,000 people to give you $100. Now let's talk about the future. Have you noticed that stores like Walmart are now charging a $97 fee to be a Walmart Plus member? And what's so mind-boggling about this is, what do you get for your fee? Well, you get to use the premium self-checkout lanes. It's crazy. It's wild. You know, there's things like robotics that are going to wipe out industries. There's things like AI combined with robotics that are going to take away whole sectors of jobs. That's really real. But if you look at the economy as a living organism, you can see that as this part atrophies and dies, this other part starts to grow. You know, before there were cell phones, lots of industries didn't exist. And then with the advent of cell phones, lots of industries exist. When it comes to decentralization, there's lots of things you might want to consider that can help change your family tree, that can help put money in your pocket, could give you more leverage, could give you passive income if you are in the right place at the right time and you're armed with the correct information. Years ago, after I had sold a local cleaning company to a small private equity firm, my family and I moved to Costa Rica. We thought we were on top of the world. It was such a cool experience to be able to build something and sell it. When we got to Costa Rica, I had this bright idea to make a course. I had already been helping people for free on the internet and the cleaning industry for quite some time. And, you know, people were getting results, but it was a little bit limited. So I thought, if I charge them money, maybe, you know, less people will do it, but the people that do it will get a bigger result. And then, not realizing it at the time, I created a centralized opportunity vehicle for myself. I created this course. I created a podcast. And turns out people actually listened to it. And I started making a significant amount of money selling my information. Now, in a lot of ways, I was a little bit ahead of my time, especially in the industry that I was serving. But what I found is that the bigger my influence grew, the worse it was for the person learning from me. I'm also the founder of a really large coaching program you might have heard of. And what's interesting is the more that coaching program got big, the worse I noticed that it was for the little guy. There's people like Grant Cardone on the internet, and love him or hate him, we kind of all know him, thanks to the power and leverage of marketing and social media. But is it really good for some salesman who's an up-and-comer to be customer 22,000 inside of a course or a program with someone like Grant Cardone? And the answer is no, it's not. So what I've started to realize is that a lot of small business owners have tremendous expertise, life experience, knowledge already. And instead of this guru culture, which it's my opinion is starting to die, what I've been doing for the last 2 years is building a platform to play into this idea of decentralization. And whether I'm crazy or not is yet to be seen. But you can see, hopefully after watching this video, how this decentralization thing is real. And this fragmentation of opportunity is real. And when I look back at these huge coaching programs that I built, that did a lot of good in the world, it's very obvious to me that there's a better way. And it's to leverage this idea of decentralization. So we work with a lot of local small business owners, and whether you are one of those or not, try to read between the lines with what I'm explaining here. What WarPlan AI is, which is our platform, and think of how this could apply to you, is basically creating an opportunity for any regular small business owner to actually mentor and guide and facilitate success or coach them inside of this platform. You see, the old way, the centralized way, said that you have to be some guru Grant Cardone on Instagram type of person to cram people through a course that only 12% of people are going to complete anyway. The new way is replicating and scaling small communities. It's helping regular people, maybe like you, monetize the experience you already have. And you don't have to be anointed by a town elder or given the keys and a permission slip from some gatekeeper to go do this. And even in the early few months of us beta testing this, the results have been insane, because a lot of really good people that have a teacher's heart have been holding themselves back from going and helping. And if you have a local service company, you know how hard it is to just make $100,000 to keep it for yourself. With coaching, with all this leverage, with the technology, with this decentralized idea, you could help 8 or 10 people and make an extra $100,000 and feel really good about it, with none of the icky Grant Cardone feelings attached at all. And that's what we're making a big bet on. We're really making a bet on people like you, because you're 2 chapters ahead of somebody. And the person that you're 2 chapters ahead of needs community and relationship with you. And I haven't really launched or talked about this publicly because this video is not about WarPlan AI, but that's what we're doing. And so the lesson that I want you to walk away with this is, how can I get more leverage in my life? Because if you're a service provider or have a local business, as good as that is, especially as a starter business, the hard part is it's very capital intensive. It's very complex because you have to hire so many people to grow. And ask yourself, how can I apply more leverage into my family's life? And there's never been a better time in history, but the danger is because there's so many great opportunities like this, maybe you'll miss it in the first place because you have opportunity fatigue, and I don't want that for you. So in summary here at the very end, you basically have to make a decision and a choice. You can choose to be a victim to all of the change, all of the 21-year-olds that are building businesses faster than you could because of the unfair advantages that technology provides and information. Or you can walk through these opportunity doors that are around you. And it's a choice that's very personal. Obviously, I think you should walk through the opportunity doors, or at least reframe your brain. At the end of the day, if you could help 6 or 8 or 10 people just like you, who are 2 chapters behind you, and they're paying you for your knowledge and expertise, I think that's a pretty interesting thing that could change the lives of a lot of people. Not just you, but the people that you're helping. Decentralization isn't going away. The opportunity is enormous. It's big. We've built a platform. If you want information about that, you can click around and find our website and reach out to us and we can introduce it to you. The main thing is this: despite all the political chaos in the world, despite all the arguing in the world, there's logically and truthfully never been an easier time in history to get rich than right now. But, and here's my last final takeaway, some of you watching this have level 10 skills, but you have a level 2 business. And what that means is a local service business, for example, as good as it can be to start out with and learning how to hire and fire and read a profit and loss and learn how to market and sell, It's limited in its leverage because of the type of opportunity vehicle that a service business is. You want to grow? Well, you need to buy $100,000 in new trucks and hire 4 more people, and you need to train them and hire them and retain them and fire some of them and then replace them. And there's a lot of complexity, and there's limited leverage for you, the owner. And you might have great knowledge and expertise on all the things you've learned so far, but you're applying it to this level 2 business opportunity. Maybe this age of decentralization is what you've been waiting for. Because what if you could apply your level 10 experience and knowledge and expertise into a leveraged level 10 opportunity view? This is why even before we've really launched this, we have people making $20,000, $30,000 in cash just their first few weeks, even though they're only working with small groups of people for 5 or 10 hours a month. It's really wild. There's never been a better time in history. And at a minimum, it's something to consider, something to think about. Hey, I hope you got value out of this video. I hope I'm challenging the way that you think and helping you understand all the weirdness that is the market and the world around you. We're here to serve you. We have a small YouTube channel and we really care. So if you haven't subscribed or liked the video, please do that. It means a lot. Me and my tiny team will read every one of your comments. And what do you want me to make in the future? What do you think about this? Do you see this as a bad thing? Do you see it as a good thing? What's your honest thoughts? Can't wait to see your replies.